record in Esperanto. He constantly tells you to read sources he knows you can't read, because he knows if you check his sources, they are false.
Okay,
they are
let's go to the
simply
next question.
false.
Reading,
he makes
how many
it
of you
up
are
as he
capable
goes
of reading
along.
English?
That's the reality.
Okay, thank
How
you.
many of you are capable of reading English?
And if he says you don't find it in the press, his answer is, it's not in the press. It's part of a conspiracy to keep it out of the press.
No,
Thanks very much.
He can't lose.
You guys
It's in the
hold for a
documentary
sec.
record.
Okay.
It's in the documentary record, which happens to be quite different
You
from
can
the press
say that.
version.
Okay.
Not
You
only
can
on this
say it,
issue.
but you know, you can
All right.
cry wolf so
It's
many
important,
times.
gentlemen, I think it's important that we take advantage of your expertise, your many years of wisdom, by hearing a couple more questions. Please, you are.
Hi, my name is Tal Silverstein, and I was campaign manager and later on special advisor to Prime Minister Barak in Camp David. So I think I know at least no less than Ron Pundak, my friend, about what happened in Camp David in Taba. I'm saying it only because I think that what Mr. Professor Chomsky said here, a lot of things are inaccurate, even though...
Do you have a question?
Yes.
Please give it.
I think just before the question, because it's very important...
Please go directly to your question.
You know, there was a question before that had about a 7-minute prerequisite. This is an expert who was there, who was an eyewitness. I think he should be permitted to precede his question with a 1-minute point.
I don't want to go into history, and I'm a little excited because you have to understand one thing. I believe we have only one last opportunity to reach peace, and this is this coming party and this coming election. Now, my question to you, Professor Chomsky, and I agree with you, Israel has done a lot of crazy and terrible things to Palestinians, and Palestinians have done a lot of crazy and terrible things to Israelis. But let's say that the new party, after the election, guided by Sharon, is to offer the Palestinians a deal. It doesn't matter which deal, a deal that will be accepted by most Palestinians. Would you support this deal, even if it doesn't reflect your views or your ideological views?
Well, I'm glad to see that I assume you endorse Ron Pundak's expert knowledge, correct? I therefore recommend to all of you who read English that you read the summary of his review of all of this in the Journal of the Institute of Strategic and Security Studies in England. And for those of you who read Hebrew, like you, I presume, you read the much longer study that Ron Pundak and Shaul Arieli wrote. It's on the Paris Center website, which describes in detail, if you like, I can quote it from you, as to what I would accept.
Ron Pundak was not in Camp David, by the way.
Pardon?
Ron Pundak was not in Camp David.
He was one of the negotiators in the background.
He was not.
He was one of the negotiators in the background, and he was from Oslo. And his study...
He's from Oslo. He was not even close to Camp David, just for the record.
He was one of the advisors, as you know.
Chomsky
and his study
so.
in 2000... You're the one who told me you agree with him. If you think not, tell the Shimon Peres Center to fire him as director. Those are the basic Israeli documents. Furthermore, they're supported by plenty of others. If you want to know more about Taba, you can read the European Union report accepted by both sides, which says exactly what I said. As to your question, yes, I already told you the answer. There is a very good solution on the table. It's the solution that they came close to in Taba before Israel canceled it, and that was then carried forward by high-level Israeli and Palestinian negotiators informally, leading to the Geneva... That's, I'm telling you. It's leading to the December 2002 Geneva Accords, which are right there. You can read them in English. You can read them in Hebrew. They're on the web, no problem. Look up the Gush Shalom website. That's a pretty good solution. It's not perfect.
I didn't get an answer, sorry.
That's the answer to your question.
No, the answer was, even if it wasn't your plan, and
Pardon?
most Palestinians...
Pardon?
Even if it wasn't the plan that you think is optimal, or I.
What are you
most
asking?
Palestinians, because I know most Israelis probably would vote for it. If most Palestinians would vote for it, even if it's not optimal, and it's not going to be optimal, let me tell you. If most Palestinians would vote for it, would you accept it as a people?
It's not up to me to accept. You asked what I thought.
Okay.
What I think is there's a very simple, creative solution, which happens to be very close to the international consensus that I've been supporting for over 30 years, and that the United States and Israel have been unilaterally blocking. It was reached by high-level Israeli and Palestinian negotiators, and though there hasn't been a vote about it, my guess is that if there was a poll on both sides, majorities on both sides would probably accept it. But that's totally different from the proposals of the Sharon Peres party, the Kadima, or incidentally of Peretz's Labor Party so far. So far, he simply endorsed the expansionist program that breaks up the West Bank into cantons.
Perfect
30-second response.
selective use of Shimon Peres, the Shimon Peres Peace Center. I want to read you a quote from Noam Chomsky. He described Shimon Peres, he described Ronald Reagan at one point as the semi-divine Reagan, as one of the iconic group of mass murderers from Hitler to Idi Amin to Peres. So on the one day of the week, you find Noam Chomsky describing Peres, this great man of peace, as an iconic mass murderer. And on another day, he's quoting the authority of Shimon Peres to make peace. I mean, where do you stand on Shimon Peres? Is he a man of peace, or is he an iconic mass murderer?
He is an iconic mass murderer, and I've given plenty of evidence for it. And he is not a man of peace. What I did not refer to Shimon Peres. I referred to the director of the Shimon Peres Peace Center. That's not